Okay, so as a lot of you probably know by now, I made a video called Why Wuthering Waves Will Eventually Fail, and I guess Tectone reacted to it. I can't imagine he has anything positive to say, but we're gonna go ahead and check out his reaction of my video, and uh, yeah, let's just see what he has to say.
Wuthering Waves will eventually fail. This has a 90% dislike ratio.
Yep.
I love how many new YouTube channels are popping up saying the dumbest shit humanly possible, and the internet actively searching them out to shit on them. Just like me! Alright, let's beat this shit. Why? Tell me why Wuthering Waves will fail. Let's get into it.
Waves will be dead on arrival.
Okay.
But I think it will eventually fail, and that's due to a few recurring themes.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. MjrBloodFox. Tell me how companies work. Tell me why once Wuthering Waves comes out, makes probably around 8 to 10 mil on the first 9 days, and then makes somewhere between 20 to 30 mil on the first month. Tell me how this game's gonna fail.
Okay, that's not what I'm trying to say here. It's obviously going to make money. Like, I don't doubt that at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. But let's continue. Happened with games before. Now, before I start, I'm not really going to be talking about anything pertaining to the game itself or the mechanics, etc. As it's just not something I am knowledgeable in because I do not care for playing the game.
So him saying that means that everything that he's about to talk on is in fact something he's knowledgeable on. So I am ready for a college dissertation on why Wuthering Waves is the biggest piece of dog shit I've ever seen.
I know that whoa, okay. That's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think that Wuthering Waves is a dog shit game. Just so that's clear. And I make a remark later in this video where I say it's a boring dog shit game, and a lot of people are taking that a little out of context because the only game that I am targeting that toward is Genshin Impact. That sounds...
Because I'm going to blow your mind, guys. Even Tower of Fantasy didn't fail. It made so much more money than what it cost to make it and run it. But people don't want to acknowledge that shit. Sure, the game sucks, but it didn't fail. A company's job isn't to make a good game. That's going to blow your mind. It's not. A company's job has never been to make a good product. You know what it's been? To make money. And as long as they make money, it's a success. And that's just how it is.
Harsh, but well, I suppose when you put it like that, yes, I can agree with that. In terms of Tower of Fantasy, it's still making money, but I think on global, at least when I was looking, it was pretty dead. But I think outside of it might even be global players still funding the game as well. I'm not exactly sure on that, but when I was looking into it, the game seemed pretty dead. But he is right. Just because it's like not a popular game, it is still making money. I do know that it's still making money, like a lot of money too. I think the last time I checked, it was like 120 million that Tower of Fantasy made. So I mean, hey, honestly, that's pretty good. Well, I'll state why. Firstly, when it comes to Genshin Impact, I promise you, I'm no sympathizer.
Okay.
I really do not like this game.
Okay.
But I have to give credit where credit is due.
Okay, go ahead.
Genshin Impact was the first of its kind, after all. Not only that...
Yeah, it was the first ever original Breath of the Wild rip. It was the first of its kind. It was the first game to rip Breath of the Wild.
But it had the COVID buff, and
Uh,
has a pretty big player base.
it does.
This leads into the first reason why I think Wuthering Waves will eventually fail.
Okay.
When you try to make a game that rivals something of reference, it does not work out in the long run. Okay, I think I know what he's going to say.
Okay. All right. So Dota had League of Legends. EverQuest had World of Warcraft.
Okay, before he continues, I know that a lot of people are making this comparison, and while they are valid in saying it, I think that it's being a little taken out of context here, and a lot of it has to do with how I phrased it. But basically, what I mean when I say it here is that the way, from my perspective, the way that I am comparing it and in saying that is in reference to Genshin Impact, because I am coming from the perspective of someone thinking that Wuthering Waves is a Genshin clone. So I am referencing one bettering the other. I do not believe that similar games cannot coexist. They absolutely can coexist, obviously, as many people point out. But that's not the comparison that I'm making here. I'm not trying to argue the fact that similar games can coexist and whatnot. I'm coming from the perspective of one bettering the other. Now, obviously, Wuthering Waves is not going to do the same numbers as Genshin, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a failure either. So, and just because this is my opinion and that I stand by this opinion doesn't mean it's going to happen. I'm not a woo-wah hater. I don't want the game to fail. I, in fact, do want the game to succeed. But let's see what he has to say.
World of Warcraft had Final Fantasy 14. PUBG now has Fortnite. What's it called? Dragon Quest inspired Pokemon.
Dragon Quest is dope, dude.
Yeah, CSGO had Valorant. This is a terrible, terrible misrepresentation of how the world already works. 1 minute in, and I would already say, nah, bro, you're just wrong.
Wuthering Waves will fail because it is trying to be like a new Genshin, and it won't work.
Okay, so that's not how it works, right? Because that's what almost every new product does, is take an old product and improve upon it. Okay, because the problem is that Hoyoverse has a blueprint for a great game that they refuse to improve. That is how all good things come to fruition.
I can agree with that. Same way in how some new MMOs tried to be the new World of Warcraft, and it doesn't work. Even
doesn't work. Okay, Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy has a 54 million player base. So what in the fuck are we talking about?
Final Fantasy 14 was initially trying to be like WoW, but they realized that if they just do their own thing, they will have more success. It's the same thing with Black Desert Online.
This guy's just I need to be careful. This guy is just a silly little willy.
Nothing can rival it in terms of its battle mechanics, and games that try fail. Tower of Fantasy is another example of another Genshin clone that, although wasn't dead on arrival.
Tower of Fantasy was never a Genshin clone. It was an MMORPG compared to a single player game.
Did eventually die pretty badly.
You say died? You are incorrect. It is still making millions of dollars every month for minimal for minimal maintenance fees.
The only thing that will kill Genshin is Genshin Impact itself, which it's already on the course to doing. Genshin Impact brought a lot of people into the...
So this is a take I hear a lot of people saying, and it is true, right? Genshin Impact will kill itself because it is, and it's just going to a very horrible direction. But the other thing is, you can't deny the fact that a new game that essentially recreates the game, but better, is going to take players away. It's not going to kill a game, but it will be harming the game. it will be taking players away from the game, and you cannot deny that. Wuthering Waves is going to take disgruntled Genshin players, and it's going to take hardcore desired players, and they're going to move them to Wuthering Waves. It is going to cause
True.
them
Yeah.
pain. Absolutely. And you cannot deny that. No, Genshin Impact's player base won't drop to 0 overnight, but it is going to take some players away from their game, and it's going to reduce their revenue made.
Gacha world, and it's become so big that when you think of Gacha, one of the first names that will come to your mind is Genshin.
Mine's Cookie Run Kingdom.
In the same way, when you think of it's just really quickly, I think it's so humorous how hard he pushes this game, Cookie Run Kingdom. Personally, it's not for me, but if he enjoys it, then hey, that's all that really matters. Of RPGs, you think of Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest or the Tales series. Nintendo, with their huge lineup of popular games, Hoyoverse is on track to creating a similar vein and franchise, but within the gacha genre. It's a new golden standard to a new era of gacha gaming. It's set a premise that a lot of newer gacha games are adopting.
I agree. I think Genshin Impact was great for breaking into the space and bringing in a new standard. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I think Genshin did a lot of good for the gacha space. Absolutely.
Namely, its wish system. Girls Frontline 2 has something similar to Genshin's, among other games, but you get the idea. I personally don't really have any interest in playing a game that has the same foundation as Genshin Impact because I think
I really don't understand what he means by the wish system was innovative. Every gacha game has had that. What the fuck do you mean it's innovative?
it's a boring dog shit
No,
game.
no. I don't think that it's innovative. I mean that ever since Genshin Impact came onto the scene, a lot of gacha games started to do a similar system as Genshin. I'm not saying that it's innovative necessarily.
It's much better to create a game from your own vision, and that's not to say you can't have inspirations or anything when designing a game, but your foundational gameplay can't be that similar either. Now, there will absolutely be people that don't mind the similarity for these kinds of games, which I actually do think is their target audience, are folks that like and love Genshin Impact. However, when you don't succeed in toppling something, you get crushed. I know it sounds like I am being unfair to this game, but I am just trying to have a realistic outlook on it, given what has happened in gaming history as of recent. It'll probably have a good few months, but I don't think it'll last.
It's gonna last 100%. It will. It'll have a player base. It'll make money. It'll do great in the space. There's no like it's going to fucking die. No, it's gonna be here for a long fucking time. Like I mean, and here's why, right? PGR is going to be a fraction of success that Wuthering Waves was. And the reality is, even at its minimal levels of success with the worst marketing team on earth, it's still being actively updated until today. And as long as a game company doesn't give up on their game, it's going to have players. And whether you want to admit it or not, Wuthering Waves has an amazing structure and an amazing bones to find a very hardcore niche community that isn't going to abandon it.
And if it
I can agree with that in the terms that he's speaking about the developers actually supporting their games and actually listening to community feedback. I absolutely 100% agree with that. I'm speaking, at least in this video, from the perspective of someone who actually did not know this about Kuro Games or Punishing Grey Raven. But the fact that they do listen to feedback and actually like give a shit is really good. I don't deny that at all.
does, hey, I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong.
Well, why don't you just go ahead and make one right now?
It's not like I want this game to fail, because for what it's worth,
I mean, I could, but I'd rather just wait the month and see the actual data for myself and then just decide for myself. But yeah, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's all there is to it.
actually do think that
And before we continue here, I do have to state that I don't really care if I'm right or wrong. I just had an opinion and I wanted to put it out. I could care less whichever way it goes.
the character designs in Wuthering Waves are much better than
Okay, so then why do you think it'll die?
Genshin's.
especially in the main character department. Also, just let me glaze female MC for Wuthering Waves for a little bit, because goddamn, that design and appearance got me acting up a little bit type shit.
Can I have the boopsie, please?
Okay.
If you're going to create a game that is already an established genre, you really need to innovate. A good example of this.
Dude, everyone does not have a good reaction to that part. But on a serious note, I do think that the designs in Wuthering Waves are really good. I really like the female MC, obviously, the female rover, and yeah, I actually genuinely think that their characters' designs are really good, and the overall theme and stylization of Wuthering Waves, I think, is a lot more mature. And I'm not trying to compare it to Genshin, but it's the only thing I can really think of to compare it to in terms of stylization. I like Wuthering Waves stylization much more because it gives off a more mature vibe, and I really do like that about it. As I'm going to assume mostly Gacha players will be watching this, is Honkai Star Rail. There are hundreds upon hundreds of turn-based games, and while it is a heavily nuanced and saturated genre within role-playing games, it has things that a lot of other turn-based games didn't have due to its nature of being a gacha game as well.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. Honkai Star Rail's turn-based combat really isn't that innovative. I think what Honkai Star Rail does is just a very interesting character layout and story. I think it's kind of just the story and the characters. Right, so I think he's just wrong. I don't think anybody's losing their mind over Honkai Star Rail combat. It is fun. It is fun.
I mean, that's completely fine. I think that it's, having played a lot of turn-based games myself, I wouldn't say in full confidence that a handful of them are like Honkai Star Rail, and I really like Honkai Star Rail a lot. I think that it's really fun, and you know, we can. I think that it's like innovative. You don't have to think so, but that's completely fine.
Fun, but I would hardly describe it as innovative. It's kind of just the same. Just looks really pretty.
You get consistent new characters.
Actually, now that he says that it looks really pretty, that actually probably has a lot to do with why I think it's innovative, because I am a real big sucker for like really cool animations, so maybe that plays a lot into why I think this of Honkai Star Rail. But yeah, oops.
New story added consistently, extra content, really likable characters, an interesting story to follow, and the list could go on. Now, this is where I could be wrong about Wuthering Waves.
Dude, is it fucked up that I can just see characters doing their moves and their voice lines are playing in their head? Like, the moment Sparkle touched her lip, I literally thought in my head, like, fuck it, I'm so fucked up, bro. Like, I can hear it in my brain.
Because I don't actually know what's...
Dude, you know what's funny about that is, like, how many of you guys, like, grew up in the 90s? Just really quickly, I want to bring this up, because he's brought it up himself before, and I don't think anyone has ever, like, agreed with his take on it, but he is absolutely right, because this happened to me too in the 90s. When you'd be playing your Pokemon game on Game Boy Color or something, I'd go to lay down and I would hear that shit in my head, like an audible hallucination or something. Like I actually had the game on. It's actually wild. Actual fucking brainwashing.
Sorts of things are in the game completely.
Oh, I heard it again.
This is just me giving my opinion off what I know.
Oh, I heard it again.
And similar to Wuthering Waves, Genshin players were really against Honkai Star Rail. A lot of people did not think it would succeed and really disliked the fact that it was turn-based.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that you're doing what they did, and you're not seeing the irony of this video. There is no way that Wuthering Waves does not succeed.
But we look at it today, and
he is a little bit right in that regard. Initially, I did not see it that way, but in hindsight, I came to realize that I am sort of
doing that, but it's not like I want Wuthering Waves to fail, because I don't. But he is right. I am sort of like being part of the problem, which was not my intention, but it just kind of happened. And yeah, that's on me. I'm not even going to try and argue that. That is 100% my fault. Uh, I was not trying to push out this like negative agenda about the game, but it is what it is. Well, I would say it's definitely one of the best gacha games easily out currently.
It's not one of the best. Honkai Star Rail is the best gacha game ever made. I genuinely believe that. Because the gameplay is enjoyable, the story
I
is
agree.
enjoyable, the monetization is okay. It's pretty easy to be free to play in the game, and it just looks really fucking pretty. I love it. It is my
I
favorite
agree.
gacha game, and I don't even think Wuthering Waves will dethrone Honkai Star Rail for me. But I don't need it to, because I'm going to play both. Right? I'm just excited for a
That's
new
cool.
game to come out.
Now, yeah, I love
This
Honkai
could
Star Rail.
have the same effect as Honkai Star Rail, where people think it's going to fail, but then it actually succeeds. Currently, Wuthering Waves has millions of pre-registrations, but I don't really view this as a reliable metric, as a lot of people were not able to access closed beta testing like content creators and may just want to try the game out for a bit. On top of that, some players might just eventually drop the game because there are other games they deem more important, or they've already invested a lot into Genshin Impact already, and don't really want to do that with another game. Obviously, a whale is just going to whale, that goes without saying.
Dude, I didn't even realize I was like covering him.
But a vast majority of people do not have that kind of money, so in turn, this circles back to people that are free to play or spend where they can. They could still play Wuthering Waves free to play,
I'm going to give it a buck. I don't even know what the fuck he's trying to say here.
just to play it and have no expectations, but in the long run, I don't really see it panning out well for this game. So, what do you guys think will happen to this game?
I think the game's going to be fine. I feel like this video is half cooked, and I feel like you should really reconsider your thoughts. And there's a reason why this video has 90% dislikes. I don't even know what the fuck you were trying to say. Anyways, great vid. I enjoyed it. What do you think, guys? Guys, I don't think the game will do good because the game ain't out yet. That's just my opinion. I don't think anybody even wants to play it. You can tell nobody's playing it right now because it's not out yet. So yeah, that's just what I think. Let me know how it goes. Yeah, anyways, what the fuck was that?
Okay, that was about what I expected from Tectone, and a lot of people, when I put this video out, I knew that it would not be received well, and that's all right. I think that a lot of things that he says are valid, and hey, if you ever see this reaction to your reaction of my video, uh really, thanks for taking the time to watch it. I'm sure that it was not amusing for you, just going off your energy off this reaction, but still, I'm gonna say thank you for taking the time to watch it. I'm gonna like this video. I'm obviously already subbed to you. I think you're a great creator. I think you're an awesome entertainer. And I think that genuinely, you are a great guy. So, yeah, that's all that I really have to say. And, you know, I'll probably end up making that vid a month from now, saying that I'm wrong. I have no problem doing that. But, yeah, if you made it all the way to the end, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next vid. Toodaloo.